What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neo, and today we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets. Now, they were very active in the free agency market. They signed they signed a lot of key players that could really improve the roster, as well as trade a couple of players to kind of revamp this roster. But a couple of things that I do want to talk about is whether or not this team will look like a contender or not going into next season. So let me just pull up this roster and let's get into it. So the first things I want to talk about is their moves over the offseason. They traded away they traded away two players away to get Contavious Caldwell Pope and Ish Smith. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Will Barton and the Morris brother. Well, not the brother, but the Morris person. I'm blanking on his first name, but I really like Contavious Caldwell Pope alongside Nikola Jokic. He played really good with LeBron when he was in the Lakers, so I think he'll do pretty much as good, if not a little bit better, with Nikola Jokic, as well as an underrated pickup of Bruce Brown actually to this roster. And I know that people really don't care about Bruce Brown that much, but a really good defensive piece. KCP and Bruce Brown are really good defenders, and for them to get them for essentially nothing is really good. The only thing about this is that, losing out on Monte, that's his name, Monte Morris, I think that's a really big miss, in my opinion, mostly because, he was able to really be a really good backup point guard. But now that now that Jamal Murray was out while he was pretty much starting, he didn't really have as good of a role as he did previously. And, especially the playoffs, it did seem like he was really as good as he was. I mean, he was really good last year, actually, and this year. Never mind. But I do think that I personally would like him on my team, and I think that a lot of other really good teams would like him on this team. And I think that is really a big miss on Denver for losing out on him. But I think that they'll bounce back from this. And I think they're getting another good defender in DeJounte Murray, or not DeJounte Murray, Jamal Murray. I don't know what's happening today. I'm just running out of words. But I think that he'll be a really good addition to this team because, he's one of the better guard defenders in the league. And not only that, but he's able to, just carry the ball when Jokic isn't on the floor. He's able to just do a lot of great stuff on the offensive end and, just also be a two-way player. And along with that, they have Michael Porter Jr., and that's probably the biggest wild card of this whole offseason. I've seen clips of Jamal Murray being really good, and that's the reason why I think that, he'll be pretty much the same player as he was beforehand, especially since ACL injuries aren't nearly as bad as they used to be. But a guy like Michael Porter Jr. is something that we've just never seen before, and that's kind of why I'm very suspicious about whether or not he could be as effective as he's been recently, especially in his sophomore year where he was probably one of the better. No, he probably had one of the best sophomore scoring seasons of all time in terms of off ball play, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm kind of shook on Mark Porter's play. But if he is as good, if not like a little bit worse, or even if he does improve by a large margin, I'm not gonna lie. I think that Denver is probably a top 3 team in the West. Just getting his off-ball play when Nikola Jokic is on. I'm pretty sure that when him, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray are all on the floor, they have only lost like one game, and they've put up ridiculous stats. Let me check this real quick with you guys so I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so in the 5 games that they played, they're essentially undefeated, and the only game that they lost, it was a Golden State team where even though they weren't really as good as a whole as a roster, Stephen Curry dropped 53 on them. And even though, the sample size is very small, They played teams like the Clippers with, let me check who was on the roster. But they also played the Philadelphia 76ers, who were the one seed at the time. And I'm pretty sure that they had pretty much their whole roster ready. Yeah. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. They didn't have Joel Embiid, though. So that sucks. But with the Clippers, they essentially had, yeah, they had everyone. They had everyone. So it really makes you think that this team can be something, especially when we go forward. And if, oh, wait, they actually played 4 more games. But they were missing DeJounte or Jamal Murray. All right, let me check some of these games. Yeah, yeah. So as a roster, they really didn't lose that much, and that's kind of why I'm really high on these guys. They have a lot of defenders now. They have a lot of players that fit better with Nikola Jokic. They have a lot of players that are just 3D, and I think that's probably the best with Nikola Jokic going forward. And not only that, but when we have a guy who could be an all-star like Jamal Murray, and honestly, the potential is through the roof with Michael Porter Jr., especially if he develops as an on-ball scorer, which he does struggle, especially during the series with, I think it was the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, he really struggled as an on-ball scorer, especially when Nikola Jokic was off the floor. But when he is in his role, he's one of the best, if not the best player playing that role. And he has so much room to grow that it makes you think that he could be one of the best players on the planet. So, when you think about it, I think that this team is just starting. And once they get going, they're going to fly. So, yeah, that's it for me, though. It's Nehemiah, aka Neo, and I hope you guys are having a great one.